a WWDC event, the too many screens in schools debate, and a new personal AI. This is MacVoices. MacVoices is supported by NordLayer. Secure your network and stay compliant with a one-toggle-ready platform. Visit nordlayer.com/MacVoices and use the code MacVoices10 for an extra 10% off yearly subscriptions. Welcome to MacVoices. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. Folks, MacVoices Live is Tuesday nights, and so this is Tuesday night, so this is MacVoices Live. We're live at youtube.com/MacVoicesTV. We have our friends lining up in the chat room as I speak. Good to have you all there with us. It's an interesting mix tonight because we have a couple stories that will probably take a lot of time. The whole tech sphere has kind of calmed down just a little bit. I guess at least the part we pay attention to because of WWDC coming up in a couple weeks. So, but we still have plenty to talk about and some wisdom to share, or we think it's wisdom. I hope you do too. Imparting that wisdom will be our panel of experts. Top left of my screen, as always, Mr. Dave Ginsburg. Dave, good to have you.
Good to be here, and yes, it's been quite a list of stories here. It's going to be a good thing, and thanks to Jeff for inviting me on the Context Machines. You'll be hearing me on there this coming week. That was exciting.
Thank you for coming on.
Yes.
Yeah. Speaking of Jeff Gamet, Jeff is here. Jeff, good to have you.
I'm happy to be here. I was going to say it's good to be had, but that feels more like a Marty line to me.
Yeah. Well, you're saving it for him. Thank you. That's very nice of you. Very nice of you. Brian Flanigan-Arthurs is here. We were abusing him pre-show because he doesn't have a tie, but he informed us that he's not on vacation, but he's not formal for the summer.
We'll call it summer mode.
Summer mode. You flip the switch, Brian, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I like it. Mr. Jim Ray is here, still under the tent. Jim, good to have you.
It's nice to be here with this panel of experts. Always happy to provide the non-expert point of view.
Give yourself credit. Jim. Eric Bolden is here in a very, very saturated color background. It looks great, Eric. What is behind you tonight?
Thought I would just go with, basic iris, surrounding me with iris, because everything's in bloom, and each day there's a new one that comes out, and I go out and they take pictures and swat mosquitoes, and this sad, you just take a picture and somebody's there, and yeah.
Chuck,
but it's not just the.
You know how you can tell it's Eric in that image?
No,
use iris recognition.
Nicely done.
Thank you.
Oh, don't encourage him, Eric.
Too late, Chuck.
Wow. All right. Last but not least, Mr. Marty Jencius. Marty, good to have you. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, I'm in the bottom center square, I guess. If should be the same as layout. I just got, Tuesday nights I teach until 7:30 and then rush home, shove some food down my throat, and then make it up here for the show in time. It's good to be here because it's kind of a whole different vibe than what I've got to deal with at work. So that's cool.
I'm hoping it's a better vibe. Not that work should be bad, but hopefully.
No. I mean, it's a much better vibe. Not that work. Well, now you've got me all tongue tied.
Yeah, I didn't mean to say that your work is bad. Just that this is maybe.
It's like
better.
asking a question: when did you stop beating your child?
Yes. Yes.
There's no way to get around it.
Oh man. Well, I have a little bit of an announcement to make, and I wanted to share this with you and the crew. So at WWDC, MacPaw is going to be hosting a special 2-day event starting on Sunday, the 7th. It's being called Flip the Script. It's a WWDC watch party on Monday, but there's a developer conference on distributing and building, distributing, and monetizing AI apps by MacPaw. So they'll be talking about that. You do have to register for the event, and I will throw a link uncharacteristically in the chat room right now. And I'll also keep it in the show notes as well. So if you are a developer and heading to WWDC and maybe have nothing to do on Sunday, you may want to attend this. It's in Hillsborough, California, which I understand is about 40 minutes from San Jose. The WWDC watch party will be obviously that. But then after the watch party, some of the MacPaw executives will be doing a discussion of what was announced. I will be moderating that panel. So I get to go to WW and be part of this. I will also be at the Sunday event, hopefully getting an opportunity in between panel sessions to interview some of the developers that are in attendance. So if you are planning on coming, if you're going to be at either one of those events, please stop by and see me. And we'll try to get you on camera, do a little promotion for your whatever it is you promote, your service or your app or whatever. But I'm really looking forward to it. The folks at MacPaw are great partners. They are great members of the Apple community. I'm very proud to be associated with them. So stop on by.
This sounds like something I should have heard about.
Well, you did not.
Maybe you should have, Jim. I know I believe they're still finalizing some of the specifics, but I do believe that you do. I know that you need to register. So, and you can do so at that link that I threw in. And actually, I'll put it in our private chat as well to be sure that you get it. So, yeah. So,
Well,
yeah. So it should be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. So with that, let's hit tonight's topics. And the first one, I added this at the last minute. It's from Fast Company, but it seemed to be kind of in line with some of the discussions we've been having about Chromebooks and MacBook Neos and iPads. Screens, quote unquote, screens are saturating U.S. classrooms, fueling a backlash on school-issued devices. And it looks like, I mean, this kind of takes a lot of the discussions we've had, turns them partially on their head. Parents apparently are objecting to all this focus on screen time. Apparently, there is at least the example in the article had to do with a Chromebook, but the teachers are now competing with Minecraft as opposed to listening to the teacher. And parents are challenging this because of screen time restrictions at home, and yet kids spend all day on screens in the classroom. And I usually turn to the educators in the group, but in this case, I want to turn to everybody and say, what do you think of this? Is this a legitimate thing? We've often talked about how using the technology is so important in today's world. If education is really intended to prepare kids to live in the world. And yet I kind of see some of the points here that they're making. So I don't know. And as usual, again, I'll turn to Brian and to Marty and to Eric as the first commenters. Anything in particular any reaction to this?
Yeah, I would just say that there, like anything else, it's always good to have a balance. It's important to be able to, of course, learn digital citizenship and learn skills on a computer and in screens. But there, obviously there's that need for that connection to take place that lives outside of the screens, and stuff like this is definitely very important. We're seeing that a lot. Even in the schools, coming back from a lot of schools who were, even 6 years ago were locked in for COVID, and people were, restricted to just screen only devices. And we're seeing, there's studies that show the lack of academic progress that took place over that time. And since then, just that need for that human connection, like anything else, there's balance. There's good ways to use the technology, of course, but yeah.
Okay. Marty? Eric?
I think this is there's a small group of people who want a digital nanny and want folks to control for that. And the research that says, well, relationships weren't improved by being on, by being on screen all the time. That sounds like a parental issue. It sounds like maybe parents should take responsibility for creating relationships with their kids, instead of enforcing it in school discipline. But this happens, it's the flavor of the month, or the flavor of the year, or the flavor of the election year, that we need to get these digital things out of people's hands, which is not preparing them well for the work world.
Hey, before I hit Eric, I want to welcome Web Bixby. Web, good to have you. Glad you were able to make it.
Chuck, good to be here. I left the office a little late, but finally made it. So,
well, I'm sure glad you're here. Sure glad you're here.
So, what are we
Eric,
talking about?
Well, we're talking about the first article in the show notes, and that is screens are saturating U.S. classrooms, fueling a backlash on school-issued devices.
We'll get to story number 3 or 4 here, and I'll talk about that.
I knew you would. I knew you would. And also, I will insert here, since I just mentioned that the show notes are at macvoices.com/show notes. They're live right now, so you can jump on over there and follow along with us as we completely destroy the order in which they are sorted in. Eric, the screen question for schools.
So a couple things. One, I think there is an age appropriateness to all of this. There's young kids going to school. There's a socialization you get with other students. And if you're isolating yourself just on a screen, you don't necessarily get full opportunities to take advantage of that. I'm a strong proponent of, art in schools. I think you learn cooperation, you kind of expand your skill sets, you learn different ways of thinking about things. As long as you preserve those opportunities and things like recess, going outside to play, all of the other interactions, as long as time is given for that, that counteracts a lot of the issues with the screens. I think the all or nothing approach kind of misses exceptions. There are people who, for accessibility reasons, might need a screen. But I think the need for the screen changes as the age of the students goes up. I have yet to hear a good answer once you start getting to the upper grades, 8th through the end of high school, where students start to become very independent, and then trying to get enough attention on the teacher and not on your phone becomes a bit of a problem. And then I think each schools handle that differently, and I haven't seen good solutions for that. But in the younger grades, I think you go to school to kind of learn how to interact with other people and learn rules in different situations. The put your toys away. Okay, now you can go to the next thing. Learn to line up, learn to, listen to somebody giving instructions before you leave the classroom and come back in, safety on the bus, safety on the playground, all that kind of stuff. And that's not a screens activity. So adjust for ages.
That's an interesting idea. I like the idea of adjusting for ages, but am I understanding you right that are you saying that the older they get, the less screen time they should have in class?
No, I'm saying that there's more of a need, kind of like what Marty was saying. You don't want to not have any screens whatsoever and not have anybody familiar with any technology, so that when they leave high school and go to tech school or college or into the work, they've never seen any of this before. That's kind of a disservice to the students. On the other hand, you don't want them only to have experience with computing. It's a balance. I think at the younger ages, you have to hit all the socialization so everybody learns how to work with each other. As they get older, there might be more need for the computing stuff. I'm just saying it's a big challenge with the upper grades, and there isn't a good solution for it. It's not a no screens. It's you might not be able to tell the student to get off the screen and listen to what you're saying, depending on the school district.
Wow. Yeah, depending on the school district. That's a great point. Let's see. Jeff, any thoughts?
Those are rhetorical question, right?
Yeah, true.
Marty hit on an important point, and I agree with it, which is that it sounds like at least part of what's going on here is parents trying to get someone else to take responsibility for how their kids are using technology. And while I do see a valid place in school for teaching technology etiquette, if you will, I think that also has to be something that parents are involved in, and saying, well, we just need to get these devices out of the classroom, as has been brought up multiple times. That's a disservice to the students, because now you are setting them up to be way behind the students who did have computers and tablets and smartphones going through school. They're not going to be prepared to go into the workforce.
Today's MacVoices is supported by NordLayer. Sage advice says any publicity is good publicity. But did you see the news about the latest ransomware attack or attacks? That's not the kind of publicity you want, no matter what the sage advice says. Because when your business makes headlines for the wrong reason, it's not just embarrassing, it can mean downtime, lost data, lost trust, compliance problems, and a very long road back. That's why security has to be more than just an afterthought. You need secure access that is ready before something goes wrong. You need NordLayer. NordLayer helps businesses secure their networks and stay compliant with one toggle-ready platform built for today's work environment. Whether your team is in the office, remote, hybrid, or traveling, NordLayer helps protect access to the company resources without adding unnecessary complexity. It's easy to deploy, easy for your team to use, and gives business owners and IT leaders more confidence in who is connecting to what. Don't wait for your company name to show up in the wrong kind of news story. Secure your network and stay compliant with NordLayer. Get an exclusive offer, up to 22% off NordLayer yearly plans, plus 10% on top with the coupon code MacVoices10. Try it risk-free, 14-day money-back guarantee at nordlayer.com/MacVoices. That's nordlayer.com and the coupon code MacVoices10 for 22% off NordLayer yearly plans, plus another 10% on top. Thanks to NordLayer for supporting MacVoices. Webb, I want to pull you in on this one. I know you're waiting for other articles, but I'm going to ask you to touch on it from a potential employer's view. I mean, because I know you hire people, and we laugh a lot about your IT department and how you interact with them. But I just wonder, as an overall employer, how are you seeing any trends as kids come in there? Because at this point, the screen generation is in the workforce. And so how do you feel about how kids are being prepared to come and work in a company like yours?
First of all, let me say that Microsoft Teams is a wonderful platform. It is perfect. It never has it. Anyway.
So now you have no credibility, Webb. Forget it.
Yeah.
Forget I ask.
You always swing at the fastballs. Always swing at the fastballs. I'm still trying to get up to speed on the subject, so I might not be fully informed. I can tell you that it is getting more and more difficult to, we don't hire kids out of high school, except for some positions, but we hire a lot of people that are really more skilled. So they're they're either at the high end, they're going to be an actuary, okay, or going through the exam process. They might not go as far as being a full fellow, but they're working on it, and we support that. And our IT staff, of course, is pretty much educated. We don't train them. We bring them in broken in, if you will. But on the other hand, you take some of the I don't want to say lower level. I don't mean unskilled, but just some of those lower level positions, and they are very screen driven. There are some other social things that we don't need to get into about time off and how much PTO do I pay time off do I get, things like that. And that's a whole nother subject. But it has gotten to be somewhat of a challenge to kind of get people when I hire them to focus on what I need them to do. And that gets to be a real challenge sometimes. I haven't gotten into this the poppy thing. I assume that's what we're talking about. And I'm not sure where I'm at on that. On one hand, the example they gave that I told it all about me, and it reminded me of a flight change that I had. That's very helpful. Because I don't sit there and monitor what Delta is going to do to me in 2 weeks. So I don't know if I've quite answered your question, because I'm still trying to get up to speed on the subject. But like I said, as an employer and just generally, screen time does get to be kind of a challenge. And I don't know how many times I could say that I've walked through the office and see people sporting YouTube while they're in our cafeteria having lunch or something like that. But there seems to be a lot more screen time than there is interaction. And that gets to be a challenge sometimes too. So, but that's kind of another broader social issue.
Yeah, that's a really interesting comment, and that's why I wanted you to talk about it from an employer's perspective as to what trends you're seeing. You did skip down an article or two, so I will jump right to that. And that is Poppy is a proactive AI assistant that handles what Siri still can't. This is from 9 to 5 Mac. And I looked at it, and I kind of have mixed feelings on this, because we do a lot of talking about Claude and ChatGPT and what is it? I can't say it. Perplexity. Thank you, Jeff. I don't know who is publishing Poppy. I don't know. The article, when I read it, it wasn't clear to me whether it was on device, but I don't see how it could be with some of the things that it claims it can do. So, here I have an unknown AI that is supposed to, in order to help me, I need to give it access to my contacts, my email, my calendar, all those things. And it looks great, but it also feels a bit like some of the other overarching assistants that come from some of the larger companies. Now, whether that makes them more credible or not, I don't know. Jeff, you're doing one of these, like.
Okay, I'm having conflicting emotions right now, because I'm looking at what this purports to do, and I'm very excited, because that's really cool. This is one of the aspects that I love about the whole knowledge navigator concept. But at the same time, yeah, I'm going back to what you said, which is where is this data being processed and stored? I'm very, very reticent to give any app this deep of access into my data.
Okay, that's kind of the way I felt about it. Eric, I'm sorry, you wanted to jump in, and I missed Mr.
Oh,
Q.
that was on the other one. We've moved
No,
on.
no, but please, no, please share something, because I don't know that other one is going to stay open for a long time. So
It's going to be an ongoing thing.
Yeah.
I was hoping you would just skip me because now I don't remember the point I was going to make. So.
Let's assume it was
move along.
brilliant.
Yeah,
but it was really good.
Oh, I do remember what it was, and that is that it used to be that there's a lot more involvement of parents and random people throughout the community in schools. Because one of the issues is there's one teacher in a classroom of variable size, and the teachers are overworked, and they've got lots of students with varying needs. It used to be you'd have like teachers' aides and people coming in for storytelling and all kinds of other stuff. And then the schools all started tightening up and adding security and being worried about background checks and worried about the community, and basically locking the schools into a small fortress with no community involvement. And I'm not sure that handing everybody technology in the form of a laptop or an iPad makes up for the lack of community involvement, but there is a piece missing, perhaps out of just fear of what might happen if you keep the schools open and not having the ability to keep everything comfortably secure. I don't know what the solution is to that either, but maybe additional funding for schools so there can be more people there, lower student teacher ratios. I'm not positive, but some of the add in the technology, I think there's a lot of possibilities there. I just don't think that the support people for the technology exists. If you keep having to keep low wage IT people, and you keep replacing them on a regular basis so that it's not as big a drain on the school because there is no way to raise more money, then the special projects that teachers used to do do really cool things with technology that might take 2 or 3 years to implement, but then you would roll out, like the HyperCard interactive stack or whatever it was to help a lesson plan, all that just starts disappearing. And it would be nice to see more complicated use of technology occur and more interactions with the rest of the community, especially as more people are retiring. I just don't know how to do it.
Who can disagree with pretty much everything you said? And especially the last part, how do you do it? There are no easy solutions to this stuff, because now we're faced with trying to teach life skills to the kids where the parents used to take some of that. Now it's being dumped into the schools along with everything else. And it's like, we'll let them learn it at school. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with MacVoices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices, or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you Mac Voices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CashFly at cashfly.com.